I want to make it clear that the compliment, "I had no idea you were trans," is rooted in transphobia.
Maybe for you it is, because a lot of trans people actually want to pass. Yes, not all trans people want to pass, but that means that there are also a lot of trans people that do. And for a significant amount of the members of communities that need to be affirmed so that they feel better about themselves by becoming a woman or becoming a man and wanting to live their lives at one, you'd think that it would mean a lot to them to know that they have achieved that. Don't sit there and tell me that they don't care about that, they don't care about how they look, because if they didn't, they wouldn't go to great lengths, many of them, to try and look like the opposite sex. Also, you can't blame the majority of the population in the nations for being completely confused, because from the outside, it looks as if this community that's supposed to be stitched together, their goalpost is always moving. But I guess it's important to, if you're going to be a representative of the community, to point out that being transgender means different things to different people. Even though there are also many trans people who say, no, being trans is just not feeling comfortable in the body that you were born with. Fair enough, but by that logic and information alone, you can't sit there and pretend as though you were speaking for every trans person, because not every trans person finds it transphobic when people compliment them on passing. It's like for women that are much older, when people tell them, wow, you're a grandma, I had no idea, I would have never thought you were a grandma. Most women take that as a compliment, because the older women get, the more they're expected to look like hags. So you'll see older women usually do something like, oh my god, thank you, especially when you tell them that they look younger than they look. And men too. Men love being told that they look younger. Like, I recently went to the Walmart and there was an older man there, and I swear to God, I don't know what he's been doing or what his activities have been of late, but he looks like he aged down 15 years. And he was blushing and completely like, wow, thank you. It's not that he doesn't know he's an old man, but I'm sure it's nice for someone to tell him that he looks younger than he is. It's a compliment. He's still handsome regardless. But yeah, whatever he's doing does make him look younger. Most functional humans in society understand what a compliment is. Not everything, and I'm saying this, not everything is transphobic. Not everything means that someone is out to get you. And if that's the way that you perceive the world all the time, nobody's going to want to ever be around you or even want to work or put the least amount of effort into making you feel like you're a member of society, because you're always victimizing yourself and representing your community as all being like you.
Just ask yourself, why is this person's transness something they should be happy that I didn't perceive? It's kind of like, it gets handed to you on a silver platter. Like, yeah.
Okay, so easy fix. Just never compliment trans people on anything ever. Do you see how that can be also damaging for people who actually need that validation? I mean, there are people I know that actually live for that. Like, it's important to them. Not saying that people should have to feed them that, but that's what they like. They like to be, they're trying every day, especially people who are male to female. They're trying so much to pass, and it means a lot to them when people don't know. That's important to them. They're still honest about it and all like, see, I know, right? But that's important to them. They make it seem as though they want how they feel on the inside to be perceived by people on the outside. So when you decide to speak up for every trans person by saying, well, you got to find some other way to do it, and then you keep shifting the goalposts of what's offensive and what's not, people are just going to stop complimenting them. And guess what? That's going to also affect all the other trans people out there that actually want to be complimented like that. Just because it was offensive to you and it doesn't work for you doesn't mean that's how it is for all trans people. So you're basically misrepresenting them. And again, not everyone that mentions that is coming from a place of malice. If you're choosing to be offended over everything, then everything is going to offend you. Not everything is transphobic, bro, sis, whatever. And you can say, oh, it's probably offensive to you, but just throwing out the word transphobic. You know what's transphobic? People in other countries that can't even let people know that they're trans. And those people in those countries, the officials or whoever is out there on the hunt for those people, actually like suspecting, not having any hard evidence that they are, and throwing them off of rooftops, and their lives are literally in danger every day because they could get shot. That's transphobia. That's actual transphobia. Somebody giving you a compliment or somebody misspeaking that something that accidentally hurts your feelings that they didn't know was offensive to you, that's not transphobia. Stop it. You're going to turn a lot of people off.
And it sucks because, like, for a lot of us, even if we've unpacked all this stuff, like, it still feels good to hear. But I think collectively...
So you literally came from, it's transphobia. But then you even admit to yourself that a lot of you, it feels good to hear that. I mean, at least you're being honest there. But did you not like look over this video before you made it? You literally said for a lot of trans people, hearing that they passed or someone saying they had no idea you were trans feels good to hear. Why would you then deny other trans people that if that specific thing feels good to hear and they're not offended by it? Like, what are we really talking about?
We need to find better compliments and unpack the ones we give to trans people as non-trans people or even as trans people ourselves.
Kind of sounds like you're talking down to your fellow trans people for accepting a compliment or feeling good about themselves the way that other people compliment them, that they themselves don't find offensive, but you do. It seems kind of like patronizing and condescending. Just because you feel that way, you expect everyone to feel exactly the same way you do and to accept compliments the way that you do. No offense, but you sound like a person who doesn't like anything, who doesn't like any compliments being given to you whatsoever. But let's hear. I bet you by the time this video is over, this person is not going to give us examples of how to compliment trans people. Maybe they do in some other video, but in this one, you would think that because of the topic at hand, that you would then proceed to give examples of how then to compliment a trans person.
And then always take into account the fact that some trans people do not give a shit about passing. So, is your compliment even relevant to them? Continue to uplift and compliment trans people. Just find better ways of doing it. We appreciate you.
People saying, we appreciate you, I appreciate you is like the most passive-aggressive way of saying, okay, thanks. What a Karen or a Darren. I'm not really sure what this person identifies as, but you didn't even finish your video by giving people. I hate when people do that shit. I hate the crowd of people who represent a huge majority of their community as the vocal minority. And they're all like, this is not something I like. Educate yourself. But when you actually have a means to educate people, you don't want to do it. If someone asks you, hey, then what should I do? I don't know. Educate yourself. With what? You're a member of the trans community. You're supposed to be educating people, so educate them. If you're going to say something is a problem, then give the solution. Unless you don't actually know what the solution is and you just want to sit down and bitch about it because you just like being a victim and being on a high horse. Like you're projecting mightily hard onto other people who are members of your community, by the way, that don't feel the same way you do. So what is it? What do you want people to say? It starts from one thing. Oh, I want people to recognize me as a woman or a man. I want people to affirm that. Okay, sure. We've been told that people, when you call them outside of the gender that they identify as or the sex that they've transitioned into, they don't like that. Okay, fair enough. People start doing that, and people are like, wow, I had no idea. And then what is the context of people saying that too? Because here's the thing. Here's a context I think about, right? Let's just say you are a girl and you're straight and you're talking with this guy. And just saying, it's something that I've noticed and other people have said as well. An from my experience, observation, and from what other people have said, I had to reiterate that, female to male usually have an easier time passing externally than vice versa. It is what it is. I'm not even gonna go there. Anyways, so it's easier for female to male to pass, especially after they've been on testosterone for a while, what have you. Okay, sure. So this girl goes out with this guy who never said that he was trans and he was biologically still female, everything that matters to most people. She gets into the bedroom with him, she likes him, and he's all like, yeah, they're both into each other. It's really, really getting great. And then the pants come off and this person has not had the surgery yet. And she's like, oh my God, oh, I had no idea you were trans. Now, this person should have been honest with her from the get-go because most straight women, and this is no way an offense to trans people, most straight women want a man with a dick that can get really hard. And it just is what it is. I don't know why we turn into a situation where you can't even talk about stuff like this without triggering people, but it is what it is. There are complications with that. Not every person who does the surgery who is F to M has a successful surgery. There's a very few amount of them where it gets completely, fully, and with some women, they want the actual thing. It's not like a slide against trans people. They just want what they want. So you should be honest with people up front about who you are. They can still like you as a person, but like, for example, my husband, he's a biological male. If I found out, regardless of him having been born a male and presenting as a male, that he didn't have a penis, I'm sorry. This relationship ain't working. Like, I need that. That's something very important to me. Intimacy is very important to me. And a penis that looks a certain way, feels a certain way, can do certain things and spew, that's really, really important to me. So regardless of him having balls, and him being beautiful and him being a biological male, if he doesn't have a dick, I don't want it. I'm sorry. I just don't. And likewise, if there's a biological female, biological male, but he looks female as fuck, born with a penis and everything, he's a femboy, whatever. Not into that. Has a penis? Yeah, I can fuck with you. Yeah, but the whole package for me, that's important. The penis is nice. Like, you could still get on with that person and be like, all right, yeah, I could still, that's important. But that's a facet of you, that's the carnal side that I would definitely enjoy, feel satisfied, everything. But I also don't want to be looking at a girl the whole time. I want to look at a dude. Like, that's just who I'm into. Just like trans people, certain trans people have people that they're attracted to. They have a type. Most people do. Most people have a type, and we should not be shamed for having a type or loving who we love, right? We love who we love, as long as they're another consenting adult. So, that being said, I could understand, especially in that context, someone saying, wow, I had no idea you were trans. Like, I mean, that's actually a really big compliment, because a girl didn't even know. And she may still love this dude, who is a trans man, but she's gonna be like, okay, well, I wanna still have that. And the person may be like, look, we're really vibing, you know, and stuff, and I got a strap on, we can do different things. And the girl's like, okay, we can try this, but that's not really what I want. I don't want you to sit there strapping on something every 5 minutes. Like, that kills the vibe for me. And I understand that moment the trans man would be very kind of upset, you know, but why even trick someone in that manner, knowing you could set yourself up to get rejected by not being honest with them? No different also, this isn't just a trans thing, no different than women and dudes that thirst trap themselves and catfish people. Like, you look one way and then you present yourself as a completely different way. You get the person to fall in love with you. I was kind of catfished too, to be honest. One of my relationships, the guy didn't mention that he was a quadriplegic. Only had the motion of the top, the head, neck, and some of the arm, nothing else. And people were like, his friends said, hey, you need to tell her, because you pretending and not telling her and being honest about what you are, you know, like, she's gonna find out anyway. Now, the good news for him, I guess, was that we did end up dating for like 2 years. I did like him. I fell in love with who he was as a person, but also knowing his predicament, I knew that I wasn't gonna stay with him long term. And I made that very clear from the beginning. Like, look, this isn't gonna be serious, because I cannot, like, some people are into it, but I need a guy to lift me up and do all this. Like, we were very honest. And I liked him for the fact that he didn't take things, he wasn't easily offended by everything. Come to find out that I guess he was, because he was talking shit about me behind my back, but whatever. Up front, I was honest up front. Like, this isn't something that's going to last. Oh, that's fine. We could have fun, you know, just hang out with each other or whatever. Then it turned into something else. So it's important to be honest. Don't catfish people. Be like, oh, I'm just going to take my picture from my chin up so that, you know, I suck in my cheeks, or they have filters now that make you look different. Like, you have a 7-year-old person that makes herself look like she's freaking 30. Then you just show up for the date, and what do you think is going to happen when you actually show up? Like, okay, you got that far, and you entertained a fantasy with basically what is essentially an avatar. What did you think was going to happen when you actually go in person to see that person, and now you have to be physical with each other? Did you not think that through? Like, imagine if it's also pregnant women, right? You're like, oh, I love you. Like, I love you too. We've been talking for like 2 months. Oh my God. Then you meet and she's freaking 8 months pregnant. And you're like, oh, what? Okay. You don't like me. You're being pregnant phobic, or whatever the freaking word for that is. I can understand why people don't like to be scammed. And when you tell people or present yourself in a way, knowing how the majority of people in that situation, what they'd be expecting, you can't sit there and feel victimized afterwards. Like, there's so many TikTok stories about that, with people legitimately catfishing people, and they know damn well what they're doing. They know they're doing it. They're acting like they're not. Oh, men are so evil. Look what they did. You know damn well what you're doing. You know. If you were completely honest and you weighed 400 freaking pounds and you were proud of that and you were being totally honest with that, you would take pictures of your entire body. Just saying. There's nothing fatphobic, transphobic, or otherphobic about it. Just be honest. And if the person likes you for you, then sure. Or at the very least, so you don't waste your time, say before you meet each other, by the way, just to let you know. And let that person make up their mind. But if you're honest from the jump and people still accept you, then you know, okay, I got a real one. I have someone who's legitimately interested in me for everything that I am. And that is a very big deal. So in that context, you cannot blame people for being like, I didn't know you were trans, because clearly they didn't. And outside of that context, mind you, people are complimenting trans people like, wow, you look amazing. Like, I didn't even know. And they legitimately don't mean anything by it. If you want them to say something else, then tell them what to say. Why sit down here premeditating making this entire video and then not giving the solution to it? If you don't have a solution to your own problem, then don't make a video like this. Like, it's like, I didn't like the way this person spoke to me. I don't like, this is not what needs to be done. This is how I'm being treated unfairly, and I want all the good things. I want to feel good, and I would like this person to speak to me in a way that makes me feel like the best person ever. And then when they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize you felt that way. How should we speak to you? Because this is how most people speak to each other in the majority of the world. So for you specifically, we have to change our language. Okay, fine. What would you like us to say? What is acceptable? Figure it out. Appreciate you. And you expect people to take you seriously. Come on now, please.